Hello and welcome to the Rested podcast. My name's Mark Selby. I love the theatre of travel, discovering the stories of journeys and learning how people use their travel time. Beethoven was commissioned to create his magnificent Ninth Symphony by the Philharmonic Society of London. Its first British performance was in March 1825. Early reactions to the symphony were mixed. Audiences loved it, but some critics described the fourth choral movement as eccentric. With time, it came to be recognised as one of the greatest musical works ever written. 6 months later, there was another premiere, the world's first public railway using steam locomotives. It too received mixed reactions. An enormous, excited crowd attended the launch in northeast England, but politicians worried the speed of the trains would cause health problems for passengers. Farmers feared their animals would be scared, and aristocrats were annoyed the trains might hinder their fox hunting. The fears were dismissed, and a global transport revolution began. At the mention of a train, you might have an image in your head of a modern train approaching or passing in familiar colours, perhaps the sound of the doors opening or the seating inside. Or you might be imagining a steam train from the movies, perhaps Harry Potter's train to Hogwarts. The one thing most of us miss or forget, one of the secrets of trains that makes them so special, is the tiny contact point between the wheel and the rail. It's no larger than a thumbnail. That tiny contact point is made possible by the respective strengths of the wheel and the rail. Being so small, it ensures incredibly low friction and gives the train unique energy efficiency. By contrast, a tyre on the road has a much larger contact point, far more friction, and requires more energy to move a load. It's estimated that for every 100 miles a train hauls 1 ton in weight, a road vehicle can only haul it 35 miles using the same amount of energy. If you're riding on a train right now, well done. Train travel has a rich history and remains my favourite mode of transport. So much better than driving a car, staring at the backside of the often stationary car in front and unable to do little else. Not even looking out of the side window at the scenery as we drive. On the train, I can do many things, rather than just concentrating on driving. But others have found far more to do and admire on trains than I have. Walking with my sister, Nikki, in the Jericho area of Oxford, we found an excellent second-hand bookshop. It had tables outside, stacked with bargain books. A wonderfully random selection of titles stood in piles, unlike the curated rows on the shelves inside. I picked up a paperback whose title made me laugh. Platform Souls, The Train Spotter as 20th Century Hero by Nicholas Whittaker. The book celebrates the dedication, camaraderie, and the hijinks of schoolboys standing at the ends of platforms, recording steam, then diesel and electric trains. The author's passion continued into later years, though the variety of trains diminished. In the past, I looked at these platform souls with their notebooks, pens and cameras with bewilderment. Then, one day, my office moved to a large building beside Reading Station. We sat at our desks, overlooking the tracks and the trains passing through. Gradually, copies of the British Rail Spotter's Companion started appearing in the office, and colleagues began ticking off the trains they saw. It seemed quite bizarre, until one day, when a diesel engine came through, hauling a long line of freight carriages. A voice called out, "It's the 5901, look at the bell!" Sure enough, the blue and silver train, named the Yeoman Endeavour, had a bell on the front. The office spotter explained there were just 4 of these trains running that had been built in America, and only this one had a bell. Thankfully, it was the only train spotting I've ever done. I never heard that bell ring, because it was simply ornamental. Not all is what it seems. But the range of railways is extraordinary. Some provide stunning views, others amazing efficiency and bargains. Yes, seriously. Sanu in Chennai told me this week that the train ride to Delhi is a direct journey of 34 hours, and an air-conditioned sleeper ticket is half the price of a flight ticket. I only wish it was the same in Europe. Sanu is a food safety officer. He regularly takes an 11-hour train ride back to his family home and enjoys using his travel time to reflect and talk with students on the train to hear their perspectives and concerns. One such conversation has led to an ongoing, structured project in Chennai to improve the quality and safety of food sold by street vendors. But my favourite railway, bizarrely, is not a railway at all. The Underground Railroad was the name given to an organised network of secret routes and safe houses, helping slaves escape from the southern US states to free states in the north and Canada. Its origins can be traced back to the 1780s, when it started being organised by abolitionist societies in the north. Slave catchers, chasing the escapees, couldn't understand how the slaves kept disappearing, and concluded there was an underground railroad somewhere. There wasn't an actual railroad. The paths to escape followed both natural and man-made routes, rivers, canals, roads and trails. The escaping slaves were called passengers, and the guides who helped them were the conductors. So-called station masters hid the passengers in their homes. The Promised Land was the term for Canada, and it's estimated that 100,000 slaves escaped to freedom by 1850. If you've not read it, I recommend the novel by Colson Whitehead, called simply The Underground Railroad. The entire history of this railroad is fascinating. We're good at creating names for fictitious things and concepts. One that I particularly dislike is the fallacy of trickle-down economics. A better term would probably be the cost of leaking diapers. Another transport illusion is the Shetland Bus. When visiting the Shetland Islands, there are several bus routes available, but the Shetland Bus was something different. It was the name given to a secret group of 14 small boats disguised as working fishing boats with crews of fishermen that operated during the Second World War. The boats were armed with light machine guns concealed inside oil drums placed on the deck. They transferred agents, weapons and supplies between Shetland and Nazi-occupied Norway. The perilous crossings were generally made during the winter, under the cover of darkness. The boats, their crews and passengers had to endure wretched seas with no lights to avoid being seen by German aircraft or patrol boats. After several of the boats were sadly lost, 3 larger, faster, submarine chasing boats were used on the route. By the end of the war, the Shetland Bus had transported 192 agents and almost 400 tons of weapons and supplies to Norway, and brought out 73 agents and 373 refugees. Today, the Scalloway Museum contains the most detailed Shetland Bus information and artefacts. To get to it from Lerwick, catch the number 4 bus from Lerwick's Viking bus station to Scalloway. Your journey will be far more relaxing than on the Shetland Bus or the Underground Railroad. And just to add to the experience, try listening to Beethoven and consider his wonderful quote. Don't only practice your art, but force your way into its secrets, for it and knowledge can raise men to the divine. However you travel today, the journey might seem mundane, but you're surrounded by secrets waiting to be discovered. With a little effort and focus, you will almost certainly be pleasantly surprised. Enjoy your travels. Thanks for listening to the Rested Podcast. Please subscribe for details of new episodes and tell your friends.
I look forward to reading and sharing your travel stories. Please email restedpodcast@gmail.com. And my thanks to everyone that has contributed to Rested so far. Enjoy your travel time.